Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Prabhupada ki. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय So Ganthraj Srimad Bhagwatam Canto 7 Chapter 2 Text 41 40. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Pathichutam tishtati dishtarakšitam गृहे स्थितं तद् विहतं विनश्यति जीवति अनाथो अपि तद् ईक्षितो वने गृहे भिगुप्तोऽस्य हतो न जीवति पथिच्युतं तिष्ठति दिष्टरक्षितम् गृहे स्थितं तद् विहतं विनश्यति जीवति अनाथोऽपि तद् ईक्षितो वने गृहे भिगुप्तोऽस्य हतो न जीवति Ladies, please. Pathi on the public road. Chutam, some possession dropped. Tishtati, it remains. Dishtarakshitam, protected by destiny. Gruhe, at home. Sthitam, although situated. Tat vihatam, struck by the will of the Supreme. Vinashyati, it is lost. Jivati, remains alive. Anatha api, although without a protector. Tat ikshitaha, being protected by the Lord. Vane, in the forest. Gruhe, at home. Abhiguptaha, well hidden and protected. Asya, of this one. Hataha, struck. Na, not. Jivati, lives. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sometimes one loses his memory on a public street. Sometimes one loses his money on a public street. We can lose your memory anywhere, but he loses his money on a public street where everyone can see it. And yet his money is protected by destiny and not seen by others. Thus the man who lost it gets it back. On the other hand, if the Lord does not give protection, even money maintained very securely at home is lost. If the Supreme Lord gives one protection, even though one has no protector and is in the jungle, one remains alive. Whereas a person well protected at home by relatives and others sometimes dies, no one being able to protect him. Purport. These are examples of the supremacy of the Lord. Our plans to protect or annihilate do not act, but whatever he thinks of doing actually happens. The examples given in this regard are practical. Everyone has had such practical experiences, and there are also many other clear examples. For instance, Prahlad Maharaj said that a child is certainly dependent on his father and mother, but in spite of their presence, the child is harassed in many ways. Sometimes, in spite of a supply of good medicine and an experienced physician, a patient does not survive. Therefore, since everything is dependent on the free will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our only duty is to surrender unto Him and seek His protection. What happened is, actually today's verse is supposed to be 41. Saturday, Etasha did not do the class, so I'm going to do 41 so that whoever is tomorrow's speaker, what they've prepared will go out of whack. So I'm going to do 41 as well and try to see what goes. 41. Every conditioned soul receives a different type of body according to his work, and when the engagement is finished, the body is finished. Although the spirit soul is situated in subtle and gross material bodies in different forms of life, he is not bound by them, for he is always understood to be completely different from the manifested body. Purport. Here it is very plainly explained that God is not responsible for the living entities accepting different types of bodies. One has to accept a body according to the laws of nature and one's own karma. Therefore, the Vedic injunction is that a person engaged in material activities should be given directions by which he can intelligently apply his activities to the service of the Lord to become free from the material bondage of repeated birth and death. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindanti manavaha. The Lord is always ready to give His directions. Indeed, His directions are elaborately given in Bhagavad Gita. If we take advantage of these directions, then in spite of our being conditioned by the laws of material nature, we shall become free to attain our original constitution. Mam eva ye prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite. We should have firm faith that the Lord is supreme, and that if we surrender to Him, He will take charge of us and indicate how we can get out of material life and return home back to Godhead. Without such surrender, one is obliged to accept a certain type of body according to his karma, sometimes as an animal, sometimes as a demigod, and so on. Although the body is obtained and lost in due course of time, the spirit soul does not actually mix with the body, but is subjugated by the particular modes of nature with which he is sinfully associated. Spiritual education changes one's consciousness so that one simply carries out the orders of the Supreme Lord and becomes free from the influence of the modes of material nature. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I seek the blessings of Mother Lakshmi Muni. She's sitting here, so she's grading 2 exams at the same time. One is written and the other is verbal. So, and I think I'm going to fail in both. One of the questions on the test was something so straightforward that one of the vows is that she had given choices, and apparently the sentence was that one should chant a maximum of 16 rounds. And I just went through, 16 starts with M, must be minimum, and I checked it off. And my son told me last night, she tricked you. It was maximum. So I'm going to lose, anyway. Krishna reveals what's in the heart. Somehow maximum 16 and I'm done usually. So anyway, so it's okay. Failing is part of life, I believe. So, yeah, exactly. I just maintained it differently, but anyway. These 2 verses, somehow the shift of the mood is at least to me it seems it exists in a very particular way. In the first verse, it's described how Krishna is involved in the form of destiny in the lives of people in this world. And in the second verse, Prabhupada says, Krishna is not involved in any way. So both statements are true. And hopefully in the next half an hour we'll try to see how both are true. So the first one, and let's take a bigger picture perspective first before we get into the philosophical detail. This is Hiranyakashipu speaking. Okay? As they say, Shri Hiranyakashipu Rovacha. And he is narrating a story of Yamaraj, who came as a young boy to help the grieving queens of a particular king of Ushinara out of their grief because their king had died. And these queens had kept the body or the head of the king on their lap, and they were crying, and they were not willing to let the body be cremated because they were thinking, our husband is here and he needs to get up and become our husband and have all these interactions with us that we've been used to. And so, the story within the story, and one of the points that we've been discussing is how Hiranyakashipu is a good example of what we say Vacharya. And Acharya is one who does and shows by example. A Vacharya is one who only speaks. Vacha. His entire example is only by what he says and really not what he does. So he's Vacharya. And the problem with this Vacharya business is that he is talking something about destiny. And that how destiny is so powerful that if it is destined that something has to happen, nothing can stop it. And anyone who is born, right? Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu. So anyone who is born, one is destined to die. You cannot change this. There is no exception to this rule. And mrita dhruvam janmasya cha. The one who ever dies has to be born again. So it is destined so. And Hiranyakashipu, who knew this, or is definitely professing it, tried to circumvent it by his austerity. And he came up with this whole plan, this whole series of desires to Lord Brahma of how he can circumvent destiny. Because he felt he could. So I don't want to die indoors or outdoors, not during day or night, not by any weapon, not by any animal or human, not by any demigods, not by anyone created by you, not on the ground, nor in the sky. All these, not indoors or outdoors, a whole range of things in his mind. He thought he was very intelligent to circumvent destiny. Actually, we also try like that. But that comes, practical will come later. So Hiranyakashipu tried to circumvent destiny. But at the same time, when it is coming to others, he's preaching that to them. Because it's always easier said than done, as they say. So very nice. When it comes to preaching, fantastic philosophy. You should not be attached. Don't try to circumvent destiny. But when it came to his own life, he just did quite the opposite. So he is called Vacharya. So then this is the particular situation, that how destiny works. And I'm sure we all have this experience at least once in our lives. I'm going to ask you. The example he's given here is Pathichutam Tishtati. On a path, if someone drops their wallet or money, everyone can see it. But if it is destined that that person should not lose that money, somehow or the other, people around don't see it. Either they see it and they don't take it, or they just don't see it, as it is said here. And that person's money is protected because destiny protects the money for him. And on the other hand, if a person has to lose his or her money, it can be safely kept at home and still lost. Either they don't remember where they have kept it, or even if it is safely kept, a thief can steal it, or something happens for them, but they lose that money. They may have kept it aside thinking, I will enjoy it in a particular way. I'm saving it to buy something. And they have a sudden health problem and they have to spend it for that. Or there is a flooding in the basement, or the roof is leaking, or something. They have to use the money to fix the problem, and not be able to satisfy their desire. They lose the money that way. The other example is that of death. That if destiny is protecting a person, they may be alone in a forest and nothing happens to them. I'm using the word destiny because particularly it said destiny and then it says Supreme Lord, but it's the same thing in that sense. That if the person is destined to not die, it doesn't matter what happens, the person doesn't die. And if they're destined to die, they can be sitting at home afraid of going anywhere, because if they go out they might die, and they can slip in the bathroom. They don't even have to slip in the bathroom, they can just stop breathing and die. A very close friend of mine, whose mother, they had invited some guests for dinner, and she had cooked for all of them. They had nice dinner, everyone was laughing, and the guests were leaving. So my friend went downstairs from the apartment building, because it's custom that you go along a little with the guests till they leave. And she was standing at the doorstep saying bye, and the next breath she didn't take. She fell flat and died right there. Perfectly healthy woman. Nothing happened. There was nothing. Just like that. On the other hand, someone who's destined to live, they may have contracted a very deadly disease. They may have gone into a coma. Raktak's not here. I think his brother is in some serious condition, and they are put on a ventilator. Right? Pretty much they're like a vegetable, but the soul doesn't leave yet. And they're like that. And I was told, my father-in-law was telling me, there's one particular situation where the person was in such a condition of coma, and they were in that body for 12 and a half years. Can you imagine it was destined that they will be in that body that long. So I'm going to ask you, do you have any such experience of your own? Whether you were destined to lose something, not lose something and you forgot somewhere or lost it and it came back? Money or computer, phone, something? Mataji, can you get a mic for Mataji?
I had an interesting experience. I left my phone in Delhi in a rickshaw, in an auto rickshaw. And I didn't realize it until I was in the bus coming back to Chichikar Road. And so I was, thinking, well, that's the end of my phone. So 2 days later, I got a phone call from someone in Delhi. That person had found my phone, and he'd called my daughter, because the last call I made was to my daughter in America. So he called my daughter in America. Fortunately, she speaks Hindi, so she was able to talk to him, and then she gave him my phone number, and he called me in Vrindavan, and then he mailed me the phone.
Wow.
So, Krishna wants to save your phone. No one can...
Because you have so much to offer the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I had an experience where I left my backpack in an auto rickshaw, and Krishna said, this useless fellow is not doing anything valuable. Why give him anything back? I never found it again, even after telling the police. Apparently in Mumbai, the auto rickshaw drivers are fairly, they're nice people, that when you lose money or something, they return things back. Even the police told me, don't worry, it'll come back. Usually comes back. It's been 1.5 years. I haven't seen anything. So, Jitendra Prabhu.
I was in 1982, I went to India for the first time, and I had a Chicago Bears sweatshirt. And I washed it, and I put it on top of the roof in Bombay. And then a few weeks later, I went to Mayapur, and I was walking on the roof, and there was a sweatshirt there, but it was turned inside out. But it had the Chicago Bears thing, so I was able to pick it up. And then one other time, I was hitchhiking in Oregon, and these fellows that picked me up, I went into the store because I was going to buy them some beer for giving me a ride, and I came out and they were gone, and my bags were gone too. So then I came back to Chicago, but then the next year I went back out there, and then I got a call from the police, and they said they found my bags to please come and get them. So
wow.
It was just kind of weird.
So I'm sure each of us have... Anyone else? You wanna? Yes, Prabhu. What's your name? Manor. From Maryland. Well, welcome to Chicago.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. 10 years before, I was going through a very rough period, and I was in my motorbike. I was having my bag with all my credit cards and my passport. So while driving, the bag fell off on the road, and I didn't watch it. But after reaching my place, I found that my bag was missing. Then I went to the police station, gave a complaint. They said, you're not going to get it because you had your credit cards, your wallet with a lot of money, and your passport. You have to forget it. Then after 15 days, I get a call from a friend saying that, did you miss your bag? Yes, I said. He said that he was passing through the same road. He's a very close friend of mine. And he got the bag, but he kept it in the house. He thought it was someone else. He didn't get time to check it. Then he said that, just a few days before, then I remembered that the bag was there. Then I opened, I saw your credit cards, your passport. I thought everything is end,
You were destined for 15 days of agony.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And Karunanidhi Prabhu will have many stories because he drives a taxi, and he is the dream fulfiller for people who've lost their things in the car.
Yeah, that is a very nice statement here. I just came today. I am that how Krishna protects your money is really very, very true. In my life, one of my friend, my close friend from high school, He is a life insurance agent. He cheated me. Can you believe? He told me, okay, you do some policy with me.
Can I believe your friend cheated you?
Yeah.
But this is the material world, so you should be believing.
He told me to give do some policy. Then I gave 1 lakh rupees for that policy. First time he deposited in bank. Second time he didn't. Third time he didn't. So that I lost 3 lakh. Because 1 lakh in the bank, if you do not continue for 3 years, that is forfeited. That 1 lakh and another 2 lakh, he ate up, Then I was treated 3 lakhs. Then another time also, it is same, but I have to confess in front of deity and everybody, all devotees, that I was associating with some of my relatives, some women. Then she cheated me 7 lakh rupees. What I had earned very hard earned money. Without, so that means it is stated, Prabhupada stated, if you associate with women, your fame, your money, everything you will lost. So that's what I lost. She told me, okay, we will buy 1 truck and we will make some profit.
It's very interesting how you remember such quotes of Prabhupada. Conveniently.
Then another instance.
No, please. Let me continue. Thank you for the 2. It's like now you've opened the floodgate for yourself, and this has become therapy. So let's. Now, Prabhupada says it's practical because this happens to pretty much any and every one of us. And then he says, Prahlad Maharaj, as a child, Prahlad Maharaj is now. And this is another thing. In this purport, the example of Prahlad Maharaj is given. So not only did Hiranyakashipu not accept how destiny was working in his life, he couldn't accept how it was working in Prahlad's life. Because Krishna was personally protecting Prahlad, that Hiranyakashipu did not get the message. First he administered poison. Imagine if we were to, not that we would, if we were to administer poison to someone, deadly poison, and nothing happens to them, then it would at least make us think, hey, something's going on, right? Okay, then we say, no, we'll try something else. Then he was put into a pit of deadly snakes or put into a vat of hot boiling oil. And it's not like Prahlad became a pakora or nothing. It was just nothing, just totally fine. Still Hiranyakashipu did not get the message. He tried something else and again and again and again. Till he became so exasperated, but he could not accept this particular principle. Mare Krishna, rakhe ke. If Krishna wants to kill, no one can protect. And rakhe Krishna, mare ke. And if Krishna wants to protect, no Hiranyakashipu, 10 of them, 100 of them can do anything to anyone. Very simple principle, but often lost. Because we don't understand the working of destiny, if you will. We can't understand. It's too complicated. It's too beyond our ability to grasp the workings of destiny. Now one may say, hey, I wish I knew what would happen to me in the future. So I'm going to take a little turn here. What is the problem? Is there a problem if we knew exactly how things would work out for ourselves? Is there a problem or no problem? Yes or yes or yes? Do you agree, or you have a yes or a no, or is there anything? Is there life air in these bodies? Yes, go ahead, Jai Baldev.
It reminds me of like King Parikshit. He was a great soul, so when he was destined to die within 7 days, he was completely peaceful. But for us, or I'll speak for myself.
No, question is
knowing the future.
If knowing exactly what will happen in the future, a good thing or no?
Well,
actually, good or bad is always, get the idea. But
well, yeah,
is it helpful or
that's
not?
my point. If we knew we were going to die in the future, then we probably couldn't chant our rounds properly. We'd be like, at least I'll speak for myself, like, No, mine's going everywhere. Like, you know, especially the way I'm gonna die. Like, if I knew the way I'm gonna die, I'm like, oh Lord, you know, chanting.
Mother Lakshmi Moni? I'm sorry, you can't.
I said, who here doesn't know we're going to die in the future?
Exactly.
Everybody here knows they're going to die
Exactly.
in the future.
And that is a fact that we all know. But
And on the other hand, sometimes knowing things makes us worry about outcomes, and then we don't focus on what's happening in the
Correct.
given moment.
Right.
Hence, astrology can be kind of a distraction in
That is
spiritual
right.
life.
And Jagadandra, you were going to say something?
On the consciousness of the person and the association he has. Whether it might be good for him, it may not be good for him.
Yes. So most people, they want to, the way people live in general is that they want to remove the uncertainty of life. They want to be able to predict ahead of time what is going to happen. Because part of predictability is that there is a sense of security. However well they can predict what's going to happen, something that is obvious, as Mataji was saying, death is already predicted. Everyone knows it. But that is something that causes distress. Everything else they want to be able to predict and feel secure. Because the idea is the person feels that on their own, if they can predict what will happen, then their response will be ready. If I know that I'm going to lose my money, whatever, or I'm going to lose my health, I will do certain things to subvert that, or to change that, or to see if that will not happen. But we know that the wheel of time, it crushes even to us, so that there is something to look forward to, and what we say, have the adventure of living in this world. It's an adventure, and it's required. If everything was already predicted, we knew exactly, life would not be the same fun. So destiny works in particular ways. Even astrology, he may be a very good astrologer. He or she may have predicted for some persons, and it was actually worked out that way. But when it comes to us or some others, the predictions may not work the same way. Or we may not understand how those predictions work. For example, let's say two babies are born at the same time, same place, and same place in the same city. One is born as a prince, and the other is born in the house of a beggar. Everything else in terms of astrological calculations are exactly the same. So someone who does their chart will say, let's say at the age of 24, this person has Raja Yoga for them. That means that they will attain some great wealth. Okay. So as far as the prince is concerned, the prediction may be that he'll attain great wealth. He may become the king. And for the beggar's son, the Raja Yoga means he may get 1,000 rupees or $1,000. Great wealth for him. But both don't mean the same thing. So for each person, life manifests certain, whatever we say, good or bad. And it's part of the thrill of living. The intentional unpredictability of things. But Krishna is so kind that in life he gives us all the unpredictability, but always cautions us that there is one thing that's predicted. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu. That is already given. He doesn't give that as a surprise. That says, I don't think you will die, but who knows, right? I may just throw it on you. Death is guaranteed. It's an idea to help the human being prepare properly, because everything else is unpredictable. That's the only thing that's predicted. In all of this, what's important is Prahlad Maharaj saying that one may have excellent medicine or very, very skilled doctors on hand, but the medicine cannot work unless there is particular mercy of Krishna. In the 15th chapter, Krishna says, I am, in 9th chapter, Oshadhi, I am the healing herb. Krishna's mercy is necessary. Another is one may be drowning in a body of water. They may have a big boat or ship, still the ship cannot protect them. The boat cannot protect them. Or a child may have very able parents, they may give everything, but the parents by themselves cannot protect the child unless there is Krishna's mercy. So about doctors, there was a person who was ready to go for surgery, and the doctors had prepared everything. He was on this stretcher and they were about to give him the anesthesia, and the head doctor came with a garland in his hand. So the patient was a little surprised. He said, what is the garland for, doctor? And the doctor said, if the operation is very successful, the garland is for me. And if the operation is not successful, the garland is for you. Because you garland a dead body. So it doesn't matter whether you have doctors or medicine. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Tadupekshitanam, that's the particular verse, that anyone who's neglected by you, even if they have the greatest assets, those assets cannot help them. So it's important that for us, regardless of what destiny is holding, waiting to administer to us, seeking the mercy and shelter of Krishna, here Prabhupada writes, our only duty is to surrender unto him and seek his protection. Seeking protection is not that we preserve the body necessarily. Seeking the protection is we preserve our consciousness. That's the mode of service, regardless of what's changing at the body and mind level. And that requires the development of our consciousness in proper association and the practice of devotional regimen, sadhana. In the next verse, he says, Bhutani taistar nija yoni karma bhi, that the living entity receives a particular type of gross and subtle body, not because God is whimsical, Krishna is whimsical, but it is a person's own doing. It is their previous karma and their present desires that help them develop their subtle and gross coverings. And as far as God is concerned, he doesn't participate in that. His only participation, Paramatma's participation, is that he is the observer, neutral observer, and the facilitator for our desires to manifest according to our karmic deserve. Just because I desire, it's not that everything happens. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Whatever we desire, most of it doesn't happen that way. It happens according to our deserve. Desire and deserve together. So the other day Mataji was referring to Kalakanta Prabhu, and I was preparing for this. So he's written a book called A God Who Dances, Krishna for You. It is funny, and some of them are funny, and some of them are just very interesting the way he writes. So it's a particular one. There are two things I want to read. I'm reading his writings on certain topics of the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagwatam. First one is called Chewing the Chewed. It's a little short one. That's the insight for a topic called misplaced priorities, and the story is about Dhruva Maharaj. So anyway, the insight is this. He says, our position in heaven, earth, hell, or the kingdom of God depends on our desires. Krishna is neutral. He loves us and he supplies whatever we most desire. We have countless ways to fulfill ordinary desires. The problem is that most of our desires circumvent God, and without Him, we have only His inferior material energy. In this material realm, even if we get what we want, we can't keep it. Thus, the power to adjust and control our desires is the power to become happy. So it's in our hands in that sense. The more we control and refine our desires, the more we can become happy. No external circumstance can dictate our desires. We choose them. To get ahead, we can try to squelch our base desires, as Dhruva did at first. However, it is much easier to add Krishna to our lives and gradually become attracted to Him. When Krishna attracts us, our material desires go away. Krishna is beautiful, kind, and blissful. The more we desire to link up with Him, the less we desire the illusion of material happiness. Once we taste the joy of Krishna, material happiness becomes like a previously chewed piece of sugar cane. A hint of sweetness may remain, but it's cold, repulsive, and mostly chewed out. In other words, temporary material happiness is available, but it's not worth the trouble. Nonetheless, out of ignorance, habit, and laziness, most people choose to chew the chewed, a choice leading to most unwanted consequences. It is said that we mostly underestimate the mercy of Krishna and overestimate the validity of material energy. And that is why we always seek out so much happiness from the material energy, because we overestimate it. We think, the material energy can give me whatever I'm looking for. And we underestimate what Krishna can give, generally. So when distresses come, sometimes even devotees, or practicing devotees, if you put more appropriately, our tendency is to go towards that entity that we overestimate, or that we have more trust in. And the process of bhakti is to develop our understanding that it's the other way, that we should understand Krishna is more powerful than material energy, and that the material energy in and of itself cannot give us. So that's why he said, when we circumvent God for searching for happiness, what we are left with is His inferior material. Satisfy the soul. It's not enough. He said that for a person in a desert who's walking around thirsty like anything, if all he gets is a drop of water, it is definitely pleasurable, but is that enough? Can that satisfy a person? The drop of water, although it is the happiness he's looking for, is not sufficient. So this material energy is, so this point here, that one is bound by this body, is because of those desires. According to Rishabdev, he says, karmatmaka, the mind is filled with fruitive activities, fruitive desires. Karmatmaka yena sharira bandha, that he is bound by a body because he is trying his best to fulfill those desires, material desires. And the only outcome from that That if he tries again and again, the only outcome is parabhavaha. He is defeated, he is frustrated, exasperated, that how much ever he tries, he cannot win. Parabhavas tavad abodha jata. Abodha, that all of his intelligence is born out of ignorance, if you will. That this intelligence is covered so much by ignorance that he is defeated again and again and again. But he is determined. So that determination is wonderful. It's just wrongly placed, wrongly directed. We see sometimes we say, I don't have the determination to follow the vows or to make it through to Krishna consciousness, right? We feel like that. I don't have the determination. But that's not true. We have. And the fact that we have a material body is an indicator of that determination. We have been determined to make it in the material world for how many lifetimes? We never give up. We never say, Krishna, I give up. I give up trying to be happy materially. Because we're determined. If not this lifetime, one more. I'll do it again. So that determination exists. It's just misguided, misdirected. And therefore Sanatana Goswami quotes this beautiful verse. Kamadina katina katitha palita durnideshas. My dear Lord, Kam adina, that lust, etc. Kathina, katitha, I have been completely driven life after life in a determined way to fulfill these lusty desires. And I've observed that durnideshaha, that they're misdirecting me. Tesham mayi najataha, and they have not given me anything except na upashantihi, that I don't find any peace after trying to fulfill all my desires. There is no peace, no upashantihi. And I forget the Sanskrit word, na upashanti, no peace, and they have rendered me embarrassed completely. It's embarrassing. Life after life, I'm embarrassed. What's the embarrassment? Either it's publicly declared, this guy's a loser, he can't make it, or it's an embarrassment because I've tried very hard and I failed. Failure is an embarrassment. So that's what he's saying, parabhavaha. One is doomed to fail. No upashanti, and he says apeksha, and these very things that I've gone after have neglected me. And now, my dear Lord, in this life, Yadavapate, the Lord of the Yadus, I have come to your lotus feet. Please accept me, Tava Atma Dasye, as your own servant. Because this now I've understood, that after determinedly fighting and trying to work with the material energy, lifetime after lifetime, that determination has not helped me. Now I'm using that determination to surrender to you. I'm determined to stay at your lotus feet. Please accept me. It says Niyunja, Niyunja, please accept me as your own servant. Now that determination is what we have to. So it's just a matter of transformation of determination. We are determined. It's just a matter of how we repose it. So, any comments, questions? Terence? Well, before that, Mataji, would you like to add something to actually make the class something? Mandanam Loka Ranjanam. Okay. Terence?
Haribo. Does fate play the same role as destiny in
Fate
the outcome
plays the
of
same role. Is sometimes it's easier to draw it out, but because I'm more of a visual person, I have to draw things out, I have to lay them out on paper. It's easier for me to understand and explain. But think of it this way. We are in a particular situation at every moment, right? And we have come to that situation because of some previous choice, So that choice has brought us here. Now, before us, there are certain choices. There's a circumstance and choices. Each choice has its own outcome. True? So in that sense, each choice has a destined outcome. Depending on what choice we make, we get that particular outcome. So fate means that which has brought us to this circumstance, and now whatever choice we make, it's waiting. A particular outcome is waiting. The only thing is that the outcomes don't manifest immediately in some cases. Right? They manifest with due course of time or in due course of time. So each choice, I can choose to say something, it has an outcome or a consequence. I can choose to say it nicely or differently, that has a particular consequence. I can choose to not say anything, and that has a consequence also. So destiny means the outcome or the consequence of whatever a choice I'm going to make. And free will means now I can choose. So they all are dynamically working at the same time. Life is a series of choices and consequences, and a map or a path that each individual takes. Two individuals with the same let's say level of education or same circumstances can make different choices and have whole different consequences. It's the choice that we make at that moment. And many times, according to what I read here, he says nonetheless, out of ignorance, habit and laziness, most people choose to chew the chewed. Go ahead, Terence. You want to say something?
Fate put us in the position where most of us came to this level of understanding, or at least are trying to come to a certain level.
Fate brought us to this life?
Fate brought us to this point in reference in time.
Correct.
We're like just
But
listening
that
to this
brought us
class.
because of certain choices we made previously.
Do you think some people that are on a particular path, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll continue within that path, but it may have been a part of their destiny to, I guess, follow in accordance to a certain degree and do their own
Possible.
choices? so to
Possible,
speak?
but you can't say it in such a deterministic way. It's possible. But whatever is the material component in that has a particular law or set of laws that operate. And whatever is spiritual in that, a different set of laws operate. Because spiritual laws defy material laws. They're very different. So even if a person is cursed to die, like Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die, but the spiritual laws, although the material law manifested such that his body was annihilated, Parikshit Maharaj went back to Godhead. Spiritual laws operated differently. In the 9th canto, there's a story of a king called Prishadra, who was cursed by Vasishta, wrongly, but cursed, to become a Shudra in his next life, from a Kshatriya. But because he became such a wonderful devotee of Krishna, that he went back to Godhead instead of being born as a Shudra. Spiritual laws operate differently. Material laws operate differently. And sometimes it looks as if the spiritual laws allow for the material laws to operate in their own way, but the outcome is totally different because they're operating at different levels. Spiritual laws operate at the level of the soul, material laws are operating on the level of matter. Is that okay? All right.
One thing Prabhupada interjected, he would say, man is the architect of his own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one thing.
Here, Jai Baladev.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a wonderful.
Yeah, I thought
Thank you,
Jagdana
wonderful.
Prabhu has something to add. Yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you for a wonderful class. some points I have maybe you could comment on at the end of this. Some points I appreciate. This whole subject matter kind of reminded me of the, when I was a kid. Of course, everyone knows that movie Titanic, and in the movie they said not even God could sink this ship, and I was thinking, God was like, "You serious?" You know? So then,
I'm not even sure if God said, "Are you serious?" Because I don't think he'd even cared whether the Titanic sinks or not.
So it just reminds me that if someone had like a small boat, you know, a swamp boat, they could probably cross the ocean, you know, if they was humble about it. So that reminds me of one quote I remember Rananath Maharaj made. I really appreciate it. He says, real humility means we take our joy not in our limited skills, but in God's unlimited love, grace, and power. And this reminds me of the point of determination that you were mentioning. Sometimes our determination is misplaced, and we may feel like, you know, I can't fulfill my vows. So one story in Prabhupada mentioned in the Gita 6.24, I always keep in mind all the time. I really appreciate the story of the sparrow, of course. So that's a very, like one of the essential points I always keep in mind. The lesson I took from there is that the sparrow, even though it was impossible to empty out the ocean, you know, that's what I felt like. That's what our desires, like, you know, it's an ocean of material desires, and it's impossible to empty them out unless we receive the mercy of the Lord. But when I first read that story, I was thinking, maybe you could comment on this. How come the Lord didn't personally descend? Why did Garuda descend? Like, is the Lord, you know, lazy or what? What's going on? And so then I kind of understood, you know, over the years from learning from different devotees, is that to seek protection of the Lord, essentially, from what I've learned from over the years, is that it means to seek the protection of the Lord's devotees, His devout servants.
That is true. For a devotee, it would be arrogance to say, only you are supposed to come in a way that I want you to come. The humility of and Krishna, the Prabhupada quotes this verse in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And interestingly, he doesn't give a reference from where it comes. But he says, Dharashana dhyana samsparsher matsya kurma vihangama. That verse is there. That the fish protects its eggs by looking at them. The tortoise protects its eggs by meditating on them. And the birds protect their little ones by touching them. And so similarly, O Padmaja, O Lakshmi Devi, this is how I take care of my devotees. I glance at them, I meditate about them, and I touch them, I protect them that way. So Krishna can protect anyway. There's nothing that he cannot do. But it depends on how we see that and say, really? For Prahlad you came out of the pillar, for me you never... Krishna's protecting everyone. And as far as even God cannot sink the Titanic, and God said, really? Let me show you. I'm not sure if he has, you know, such a delicate false ego that because I challenged him, he's going to say, really? Let me show you. He doesn't care. Oh, whatever. Okay, any final? Okay.
Oh, and Krishna.
Indra is different. Indra is different. Indra is a big guy in the universe. He's the king of the demigods. What he says, Krishna will pay attention to. And mostly because he was attacking the Vrajavasis. Otherwise, you know, big demons can make big challenges, and Krishna's like, whatever. It doesn't bother him. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagwatam ki jai. Anchakalpatoras. Kripasam. Yeah, 12 o'clock, yes. So here's how my morning looks. Straight from now till... And then here's Lakshmani Mataji coming. Then we do all the calculations. And then evening is Swarupa Pahan's program.